So, a bunch of you guys made my wife cry last night. So, I'm going to remind you who you are and what you did in case you forgot as I dig up some trees here. As if I don't have enough projects. You know, it's not bright out here, but there's gnats all over the place and flies and a very foul odor. So I'm putting the sunglasses on to keep the gnats and the flies out of my eyes. So I've got a ton of weeds to chop and drop. I've got plenty of firewood to split and stack. But I've also taken on another landscaping job here on the homestead. I'm putting up some more trees in another location, you know, because I've only planted like 2,000 or 3,000 trees in the last 4 years, or moved them around. Cutting hay way over there. Noise travels out here in the middle of nowhere. Somebody's cutting hay probably almost a mile away, and you can hear it here from here. But yeah, you keep getting my 6. If you didn't see those, you're blind. Let me get a tree. Watch them as they watch me. That's a nice one. It's already about 5 feet tall. I'm gonna need about 20 more of them. It's okay because I got them. So, guys still got your eyes on them up there? All right, so I'm gonna try to take these glasses off. There's a lot of gnats, like I said. You hear that? Okay, so listen. Energy is very real. And I'm not just talking about mechanical energy, electrical energy, hydro, water, power, energy. And yeah, this has to do with you making my wife cry and what you did to do it. It has to do with energy. And the trees we're planting, I'm making another, hedge. And it's not to block vision or sound. It's actually to block energy. There's one location here on our property where we just can feel negative energy coming from, I was going to say somewhere, it was coming from a negative source. And even though we have nothing to do with the negative source, the negativity is so powerful, it emits the negativity into the atmosphere. We're going to block it with trees because we don't want it. We emit positivity. So listen, we did a live feed last night as of this recording, and I talked about it then, and I've talked about it in other videos. What you send out there into the universe will send back to you. It's called The Secret. It's called the Law of Attraction. If your thoughts are positive, it's called the power of positive thinking. And we've seen these things work too many times in our lives to know it's real, okay? You can't measure it by kilowatts but you can measure it through observing the actual results. So what's this have to do with my wife and you guys making her cry? Okay. So yesterday evening, me, a beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, and our son Daniel, we're up here at the family campground. I'm actually up here at the campground now. And we had a fire going, and we were just talking about life, talking about how wonderful our lives are, and just talking about all kinds of stuff. And I asked her, how's your family back in the Philippines? They're still doing okay? She said, yeah, they're still doing okay. And she was giving me the updates because, they're on, right now as of this recording, the world's on, going through the COVID-19 thing. Different countries are quarantining in different ways. They're doing it very harshly over there, but it's because they have to. There's 7,107 islands make up the country. People live on about 4,000 of those islands. If you smush the islands together that people live on, it would be about 1/3 the size of the state of Texas. All the islands would be about half the size of the state of Texas. But all the people live in a landmass about 1/3 the size of the state of Texas, and there are 110 million of them. So their livable land space is less than 1/3 the size of one of our states, but they've got a full 1/3 of our country's population. So they have to really be strict over there, and the way they're living is they have to stay inside. They're quarantined in their homes, and like 1 or 2 people from each household is allowed to leave like once or twice a week for just a few hours. So, dearly, she's got her own YouTube channel. She has her own money, and she's worked in the past. We've talked about that kind of stuff before. She's helping her family out. She's sending them enough money to be able to continue to exist and live and thrive through the COVID-19. Her parents have never asked for anything. They're hardworking people. Her mother runs a small eatery. They're called carinderias. Her father's a tricycle driver. He works in public transportation, scoots people around town on a sidecar all day. Her mom works all day. They have a big family, but her mother and father have always worked hard enough, and they go out and do it every day. They've always been able to take care of themselves. They don't come around asking for handouts, but they've not been able to do those jobs during COVID-19. They're on quarantine, and so I think something just threw something at me. So anyway, and if you've been following the channel for a while, you know all this. But last night, she starts talking about one of her sisters, and I know her sister. I know her whole family. Her sister still lives out in the jungle where I spent almost 2 years without electricity, without running water, living in a hut. And, this is where let me tell you, I always thought I was grateful for the things I had in my life. I just thought that until I spent 6 years over there in a third world country living in third world poverty myself. Let me tell you, now that I'm back, I'm grateful for every single thing. And that's my new pet peeve since I've been back has become just seeing people who are grateful for nothing. It's wonderful that your needs have always been met, and I hope they always will be met. But I know what it's like not to have my needs met and to see millions of people whose needs aren't met. And so I guess maybe, I know you don't have to go through that to be grateful. I know a lot of folks over here who are well off, who have always been well off, but who are very grateful. I guess it's just kind of like an attitude, like the energy I'm talking about. Either you got a attitude of gratitude or you don't. You have an entitlement mentality. So anyway, she's telling me about her sister still living in the jungle. She's telling me the story that is like making me cry. Her sister, who's 31, has a 33-year-old husband, and they have 3 children, live in a hut, no electricity, no water. They're on quarantine. So her husband, now her sister's always stayed home with the kids. Her husband, one of the hardest working men I've ever met in my life. His name's Young. Doesn't speak a word of English, but I always love to hang out with him. Somehow, I learned their language so I could communicate with them in Visayan. Historia ko dako Visayan, kawalam ka kunti gamay Tagalog. I understand and speak a lot of Visayan, but only a little bit of Tagalog. This guy, he looks like he spends all day, every day in the gym. He's ripped, he's buff, never lifted a weight in his life. You know what he does? He harvests coconuts. You ought to see the way those guys do it. They chop these little notches or niches into the side of a coconut tree, and they climb it with like this part of their foot, just like the side of their big toe bone. Okay, so they have really ripped, pulling themselves up. It's like doing pull-ups all day. They'll climb to the top of those trees, cut the coconuts, toss them down, and I think they get 3 pesos per coconut, which is like nothing. They got to do it all day. And he works on the banana farms, hardworking guy, but he can't do that now because of the quarantine. So her sister has been going out. She's only allowed out a few hours a day, a couple days a week. She goes out, and it happens to be the hottest time of the day. And remember, they're only 7 degrees above the equator. So she's going out, and she's going along the beach, 95 degrees, 95% humidity. It's tropical, subtropical actually. And she's picking up pretty looking stones, desirable looking stones, selling them in buckets for 50 pesos each to landscapers. I didn't know how dire it was. Dearly talked to her this morning. She only sells 2 buckets a week. That's all she can sell. So that's 100 pesos. That's $2. So their family's been living off of $2 US. Now, they don't have rent, mind you. They're squatting in what's called a squatter's barangay on the beach. People will build these little huts out of bamboo, and the roofs, they make shingles out of like the leaves of coconut trees. And there's a pump, like a public pump for their water, no electricity. And there's like a outhouse that probably everybody that lives in that area uses. No running water, of course. That tractor's going by again. So anyway, she was telling me this, and this feeling came over me that I had to do something. Okay, but it's not like I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy. Okay, we do really well for ourselves, and we have enough for ourselves, and that's kind of it. And we're grateful for that. We feel blessed for that, because once upon a time that wasn't the case. Okay, and we didn't have people who could say, here, let me help you out, rich uncle, rich in-laws, or whoever. We didn't have that. So we really, everything we have, we got through our own means. So it was breaking my heart to hear that this girl, who was a friend of mine, is a friend of mine, I just haven't seen her in a few years, is out here doing this. And so I got the idea. I said, Dearly, let's go live. Let's just do a live feed from the campground, because when we go live, people, they make these super chat contributions. And we don't go live very often because of that. That's one of the reasons we don't go live. We don't have our PayPals set up on our accounts. We don't have a PO box. We're not here to beg. We make our money from our Google AdSense revenue on this channel. We make tons of money from book sales. Thousands and thousands and thousands of you just this summer alone have been buying my books. So it's just incredible. And so we don't go those extra routes. But I said to her, let's go live. And if people do those super chat things, they make contributions, whatever they give us, we're going to help your sister and her husband and those 3 kids. So long story short, we live streamed for about an hour. And that thing sounds a lot closer than it is. But we live streamed for about an hour. And you folks, and you know who you are, contributed a total of $432 during that live stream. Okay, now YouTube takes a cut of that. They take like 30%, we get 70%. So after we get our cut, and after you convert it to pesos, Filipino pesos, that's 16,000 pesos, okay? If you had a what's considered a real job over there, if you worked in the bank, if you had if you worked at a department store in the mall, if you worked at McDonald's, and yeah, they have McDonald's there, McDonald's all over the world. How long? It would take you about 6 months to make that much money. So, and now we're talking about a family that didn't have. I mean, the husband probably made that money. It'd take him 6 months to make that much money. So anyway, we finished the live stream and we turn off the phone. We sat back down by the fire to hang out for a few more minutes before we go down to the house. And I was like, wow, I can't believe we just did that. We just did something really good for your sister. And I hear Dearly just sobbing, and I look over and she's just crying. And it was tears of joy. It was tears of gratitude, thankfulness that a bunch of people, a bunch of strangers will never meet. Because once Jenny B, is it Jenny B or Jenny H? I think it's Jenny B. Sorry if I'm getting it. She gave the first $5, and we told Jenny where that money was going. And then everybody just started jumping in. Somebody with user ID JC gave $100. It was just crazy. But Dearly was crying tears of joy, happiness, gratitude, thankfulness. And I really wanted to make this video and tell you guys about this because Dearly called that sister today. That sister had to take a motorcycle ride, like an hour one way, to get to a place where another sister lived who actually has a cell phone. Then they had to buy an internet load. It's different over there. You don't get monthly plans. You buy like a little thumb drive and then you get usage. And then they had to stay up, I think they're still on the phone now as of this recording. It's just afternoon. They've been on the phone for a couple of hours. So we told the sister what we did, and she just the phone went silent. She was speechless. And then all of a sudden you hear her start crying. It was just such an amazing thing. And so what they're down there still talking about, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go to the electric company, and they're actually going to have an electric pole and a box installed and wires going into the house. They're going to have electricity for the first time in her life. 31 years old, husband's 33. For the first time in their lives, they're going to have electricity. They're still going to use the pump. They don't want to leave the area because they've always lived there, okay? And I understand that. I get that. And then, of course, we're not going to send all the money at once. All of it will go there. We promise you that. But we're going to send it weekly because, and here's the deal, and this isn't because they're Filipino. It's not because they're poor. It's not because of anything other than the fact that they've never had money. A lot of people who aren't used to having money, if they come into like a lump sum, they piss it away quickly. Sorry for the language, but it's just a fact. Even in America, the average considerable lottery winnings lasts 18 months. The average inheritance lasts 18 months. The fact of the matter, and I used to be a financial planner. What I learned is if you didn't earn it, you don't keep it. And if you don't know how it works, it's like a boat with a hole in it. If you can continually give somebody money who doesn't know how to manage it, and they'll always be broke. But you can take someone who understands finances and is pretty good with money, and you can take from them everything they have, and it's just going to be a matter of time before they have it all back anyway. That's just how it works. So to protect her and her husband and the family, and to make sure this does last 6 months, we're going to send it out to them gradually to make sure it lasts. Hopefully, by the time those funds are dry, the COVID-19 thing is maybe more in check, and maybe her husband can return to work. And when he works on the farms, they do okay. for their lifestyle, what they're used to. They're comfortable, but they've been very uncomfortable here lately, and it was just a heartbreaking story to hear about that girl out there on the beach picking up those rocks. And but I wanted to kind of follow up. This is like the day after that live stream. I wanted to follow up with you guys to let you know how much that meant to us. You made my wife cry, tears of joy, thankfulness, and gratitude. You made her sister cry, tears of joy, thankfulness, and gratitude. And you made her two cousins and the other sister that was there listening to the call tell us that they're going to go out on the beach and start picking up rocks now too. Of course, that was a joke. They were joking. They're taken care of. Everybody's grateful. Everybody's thankful. So from them, from some strangers you'll never meet that live 9,000 miles away on the total opposite side of planet Earth. If you're in the U.S., we got a lot of followers we got people following us in the Philippines. Mabuhay. Big thank you to everybody. It's how you made my wife cry. That's what you did. And I just wanted to point that out and let you know it. I bet our audience back there appreciates that story too. See you guys for more next time. I got trees to dig and plant. I've got firewood to chop and stack, and I got weeds to chop and drop. See you next time at the PBS. The Potential Bigfoot Sasquatch Show.